Welcome to the Trading with Venus podcast, where we help you establish strong trading habits, generate consistent profits, and create the lifestyle you desire for yourself and your family. Now your host, Raman Gill.
Welcome to another episode of the Trading with Venus podcast. I'm your host, Raman Gill. Earlier in the year, you may recall that we were running a Turning Pro Challenge. I was going to run the Turning Pro Challenge again in October, but before I could launch it, I had this conversation with somebody from the audience, and he was talking about how I was misleading people. And I was a little taken aback by that because if I am not mistaken, I'm probably one of the most honest traders in this field, and I tend to show a lot of stuff. I show things as they are, I talk about things as they are, and I don't promise people the world because it is hard to deliver on the world. When we went further into the conversation and I asked him a few questions, it turns out that he was under the impression that I was saying that you can become a full-time trader with a $3,500 account. Now, that is not true. I do not believe that anybody can earn a full-time salary, and we are talking about a regular full-time salary somewhere from $60,000 to, let's say, $150,000 in a year from a $3,500 account. So what I wanted to talk about today was what is reality in the trading world? What are we looking for? So the Turning Pro Challenge was really about adapting the behaviors and actions of professional traders so that one day we are able to become those traders. So we become professional traders as well, and then you can go on to earn a full-time living. That is not to say that you can start off with a $3,500 account and then become a full-time trader. The reason the $3,500 account even came to be was because I was about to start with a $10,000 account, and I was talking to a student of mine, and he said to me, well, I don't have $10,000 to put into an account. And in reality, I did not want him to put $10,000 into an account because he was a student, he was new to this business, and I would not recommend anybody to start off with a $10,000 account because chances are you are going to blow your first couple of accounts. So be prepared for that. So somebody who's starting new, I always recommend to start with a smaller account so that you build up your skill set, and then you can slowly increase the size of your account so that you finally get to that place where you're actually making some money, which is real money. It actually feels like you're earning a profit and not just, you can buy a sandwich, that type of stuff. So what is the truth about trading? The truth about trading is that this business is like any other business. You cannot start off with amateur stuff and then go play with the professionals. So I know a lot of my friends have kids and they put their kids into these expensive programs. So for example, a hockey program. So they will send their kids to a $2,000 program to get them to learn how to play hockey. Now, does that mean that they are going to play in the NHL? Not necessarily. So these kids are going to learn the skill set that if they practice, they will then one day be able to get to that level. And that's what the Turning Pro Challenge is about as well. We start off with a smaller account because the risk is low. I don't want you to go put $10, $20, $30, $100,000 into an account and then go blow it, because that's what happens in the beginning till you get to that point where not only have you mastered the markets, but you have mastered yourself as well, because this is not just about the markets. The biggest thing that you have to master in trading is yourself. And this is where I have seen most traders fail. And I have to say, this has been my biggest challenge as well, because we are all human beings. We get impacted by external things that are going on in our lives. And as a result, we can have that creep into our trading, and then you kind of fall off the track, so you have to get back on the track. As you become a more experienced trader, you can figure that out on your own. You can see when you're off track, when you're doing things that are more emotional, when you're trading off kilter. But when you are new, you cannot tell the difference whether you're failing on the emotional side or do you just not know the market. So the Trading Pro Challenge is about learning the market, understanding that stuff, but most importantly, mastering yourself. That's why the scorecard is not just the number of pips or the profit we make, but also it's about keeping a trading journal, making sure your risk is within your parameters, making sure you're doing the right things day in, day out, so that one day you get to that level where you're able to transition from whatever your career is now into a professional trading career. So that's the whole premise around the Turning Pro Challenge. So the reality in trading is that you cannot take a small account and make a full-time income from it, let's say make $100,000 from it. It is extremely hard to do, because let's calculate the return that you have to get on that. So $3,500 account, if you 10x it, so you get 10 times the return on it, that's only $35,000, and you cannot live on a $35,000. So you need a substantial account size to be able to make a full-time living. However, you don't have to go into that big account size right off of the bat. So first you take the baby steps, just like when you first start learning how to drive. You drive in a crappy car. So you have an old beat up car that you don't mind taking onto the road. If you hit the pole, oh well, you hit the pole. $500 down the drain, doesn't matter. However, as you become a more experienced driver, so when you first start learning how to drive, you may not be able to do shoulder check while you are driving. But as you become more comfortable, not only are you doing shoulder check, you're listening to music in your car, you may be eating a burger as you're driving or drinking your coffee. You can do all of those things simultaneously. However, I remember when I first learned how to drive, I could not for the life of me do a shoulder check because I was terrified and I was literally white knuckling my steering wheel. Now you can do all kinds of stuff. I can yell at my kids, I can be driving and listening to music and being the referee with my kids while I'm doing all of that and making sure I'm doing proper signals, proper shoulder check while I'm turning. So you can do all of that, but you cannot do that when you're a new driver. Same way, you cannot do all the things that a more experienced trader can do when you're new, because first of all, you just don't have the experience. We do need the experience. Just like anything, we need the experience, right? Just like when the doctors become new doctors, they're brand new doctors, well, they don't really know everything. You know, they know their bookish knowledge and they may know the more of the technology, but when you really need something figured out, you may want to go see an experienced doctor, because that doctor would have seen all kinds of problems. He would have seen all kinds of issues that people come to him with. Same way, there are things that you will learn as a new trader, but to get experience, unfortunately, you have to go through the reps, you have to take trades, you have to learn the market, you have to basically just be in the market, in the game, in order to learn that. So the reality of the trading world is that you need experience, and that experience only comes with time. Even I learn new stuff every single day. It's either when you become more experienced, it's not a new technical setup that you may learn, but it's the market movement. A comment comes out and you see a reaction to that. So now that you file that away, and next time you know if X happens, then Y could be the reaction, or the reaction could be completely different based on what else is going on. So for example, trade wars. Every time there's a comment about tariffs on China, equity markets drop, right? When equity markets drop, Japanese yen, being a safe haven currency, goes up. So as a new trader, you may not even understand this correlation, but as you get more experienced and you don't need to white knuckle your steering wheel, now you can pay more attention to what's going on. So just like an experienced driver, where you could be driving and enjoying the scenery at the same time and listening to music, as an experienced trader, you can be in a trade and still pay attention to comments that come out, other markets like equity markets, and what else is going on in the market. So that is the reality about trading. You cannot just become a full-time trader with a small account, but you can practice the right behaviors and you can practice the right things that will then help you when you do become a full-time or a professional trader, so that you're able to conserve your capital and you don't just blow it up. So that's the important thing to learn about trading. Unfortunately, it does take time, which is a good thing, because then you don't need to blow up your accounts as much. And in this day and age, there are so many resources that we have available on YouTube, podcasts, these type of things, where you can learn from people that have been there before, that have blown their accounts and have come out of that with a lesson. So it's best to keep your eye on those things. Make sure you are looking at your charts, you understand the fundamentals, you understand the market sentiment, and all of these things that you will need in your trading. So we will start the Turning Pro Challenge once again in the new year in January, but this time I will make sure that I'm not giving the impression that you can become a full-time trader with a $3,500 account, but do understand that if you keep doing the consistent actions, that $3,500 account will grow. And then once you're confident in your skill set, then you can scale up your account so that you can take a larger trade. So it's not about how much money you have, the small amount of money that can get you great results, but it's the actions. It's like that hockey player. If the kid practices the hockey stuff, techniques that he has learned in that $2,000 camp, and practices them, one day he will become an NHL player if he stays focused on that. But again, he will not learn that. He cannot learn something from a camp over summer holidays and then come back and say, now I'm going to play in NHL. Not going to happen. But if he keeps practicing, he will get there one day. So same way, if you keep practicing, doesn't matter if you just started in this business, but if you keep practicing, you keep applying these behaviors and techniques, and you stay with it, not get too emotional, then one day you will get to that level where you will be confident and comfortable in your skill set, and you could make that jump from being a part-time to a full-time trader. So that's it for today. I hope you found this podcast useful. If you did, I would highly appreciate if you could share it with your friends as well. Thank you so much for joining me today and sharing this time with me. I will see you next time.
Thanks for joining us today. With much gratitude, your show host, Raman Gill.